Welcome back, folks. This is Shane. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you this unboxing experience of my new camera. Now, when it comes to Panasonic cameras, I have a number of them. I'm shooting with a GH5 here, a GH5 over here, and a Panasonic G85 over there. So this is a Panasonic camera, and as we've seen online and through all the shops and around the world, Panasonic are really pushing their full frame system. So I'm going to share with you what I purchased and why, and you can make up your own decision whether that's a good move or not. But for me personally, and this is what it comes down to, for my particular use case, this is going to be perfect. So let's open this up and check it out. So I haven't opened this whatsoever yet. Ooh, here we go. Yeah, I did get it from Amazon, so I'm not overly proud of myself, but if you want to find out about this camera, I'll leave some links in the description. All right, at least the box looks good. It looks like we've got the right camera. Ooh, it's a small box, which means it's portable. Awesome. So I ended up with a Panasonic GH5S. Now, these are, I guess, a year or two old now. They've been out for a while. These aren't the newest Panasonic cameras out there. They're a Micro Four Thirds camera. It's got a slightly bigger sensor than a Micro Four Thirds camera, so it will allow me to get better low light performance, but it doesn't have in-body image stabilization, which isn't a big deal. Now, behind me, as you can probably see right here, I have a DJI Ronin S. So if I choose to use it with a gimbal, it's going to look great. Or if I mount it in a car, the car's the stabilizer, so it doesn't matter too much there. I'm pretty heavily invested in the Micro Four Thirds system, and for me, and with what I do and the kind of work that I do, Micro Four Thirds is going to be fine. There's also a couple of things that really made me go for this over their full frame counterparts, which I'm going to explain in this particular video. So let's open this up and see exactly what we have here. Right. So far, so good. We get some instructions and all that stuff that I've never opened on any of these cameras, which is a huge reason why I love the Panasonic system. The menus are just so easy to navigate. They're really intuitive to use, all that kind of stuff. So it's another big reason why I didn't want to swap over to any other brand. I know these back to front. I can set this up within a few minutes and get it to work exactly for my use case, which is going to be fantastic. All right, so we have everything on the table right now. We get another one of these straps, which, you know what? I've only ever used one of these out of all the cameras, and it's on this camera over here right now, which is kind of like my out-of-the-house camera when I do need it. But yeah, these are always cool. We get a lock here to help manage the HDMI cable. We also get a whole lot of different cables, and some of these attached to the power supply. And we have the battery here as well as the actual power supply. Now, this varies and looks quite a bit different to that of the GH5 power supply. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how this works. I've watched some videos on it already, but we're here for the camera. So let's take a look at this thing. Whew. Man. So yeah, it feels identical right now to the GH5. We've all seen videos of these. These aren't new cameras whatsoever, but let's take a look at that sensor. So there it is inside there. Now, this is a different type of sensor to that of the GH5. The color science is also a little bit different. I think there's something slightly wrong with the GH5 color science. It's a little bit on the green side. So in camera, I always opt to go a little bit more to the magenta, which takes away that. And I set that up on all of my other cameras. But this has that look straight out of camera, which is going to be great. Now, the other reason I wanted to get this one in particular was because of that larger sensor and lower megapixel sensor. It'll allow me to capture lower light footage, especially if I'm at a gig or if I'm doing a walk around at a shop, for example, or at a gym. I'll be able to actually get better results and less noisy images. So for me, this was an absolute no-brainer. It looks cool. It's got the red button on the top here as well, as you can see, and a little red ring around this dial over here. So while on the surface, this might look almost identical to a GH5, there are some differences about this. It also has a better capability for autofocus. Not saying it's great, but from what I understand, the latest firmware on this is even better than the GH5 now. And the GH5 has improved over time. It's never going to be as great as Sony or Canon. Well, some Canon cameras at least anyway, but for what I want, this is going to be great. One area mode has very rarely let me down, especially for YouTube videos. Most people won't care. Another huge reason I went for the GH5S is the fact it can do Cinema 4K, and it can also do 60 and 50p in full 4K resolution. This is something that a lot of other cameras just don't do, or they crop in anyway. Now, there are obviously some cameras that can do that, but you get unlimited recording time with this, which is another huge benefit, as well as a full-size HDMI port, which was one of the biggest reasons why I didn't want to go for the new S5. Now, if you don't use this port at all, then probably go for the S5, but the GH5S is pretty much everything that I love about the GH5, minus the stabilization and better low light performance, and I never shoot in complete darkness. Gigs at a pub or a bar would be about the lowest light I would ever use, but there's still ambient lights or stage lights on anyway. So for me, this is going to definitely do the job. While the GH5S looks identical to that of the GH5, this comes in at 660 grams, which is lighter than the GH5 coming in at 725 grams. What I'm going to do now is hook up the GH5S to my system here, and we'll do a back-to-back comparison between this and the GH5. Let's do a quick comparison now between the GH5 and the GH5S. The GH5 is the one on the right over here. I'm using both of the same lenses, the 15mm f1.7 Panasonic Leica lens, and that big red thing sticking out of the XLR adapter is the SE Dynamite for the microphone I'm using on my desk, and the GH5S is on the left over there. So let's do a quick comparison. This is the GH5. I've re-white balanced it using this gray card, so hopefully it looks a little bit better than it did before. As I change rooms a lot, I just completely forgot to change the white balance on the camera as the excitement kicked in that a new camera had arrived. So this is the GH5. Notice the field of view here. GH5S, much wider field of view, which is now incentive for me to clean up everything that's outside of the view normally with this camera. So yeah, I can see I've got so much more space to work with. And this is one of the things that sold me on this camera from Caleb from DSLR Video Shooters video. He was saying that just how much wider it is with this particular sensor, because the sensor itself is physically a little bit wider. And this is great. So I get a much more natural looking color in my opinion than this. And I also get a wider field of view, which is going to come in really, really handy. So I'm pretty impressed with the picture quality just straight out of camera. It actually feels like, at least to my eye, just looking at it like this, a far superior picture quality. But I'm going to customize the white balance on the GH5 because I don't plan on getting rid of them. I'm not selling them to keep this camera. I'm going to keep two GH5s and the GH5S and probably move on one of the G85s. I'm a big fan of these cameras for handheld work. This is going to be fantastic. And when the day comes where I can travel again, I'm going to be taking the GH5S and a GH5 with me. And I know I'm already going to be shooting a lot of videos in a situation where there's not going to be a whole lot of great lighting. So both of these cameras will definitely be awesome for that particular situation. So let us know what you think between these. I know a lot of people have both of these cameras, or they might have one or the other. Let me know which is the best for your particular use case. I feel like this will be a great tool for adding to what I already have to get the kind of results that I hope to get for the jobs that I do. So yeah, just looking at the difference, yeah, there's that big sort of yellow-green look to this, whereas this has just a bit more of a natural look to it. So I'm going to color balance everything properly now. I'm going to go into the GH5s and try to match them the best that I can. But this is a straight out of box comparison just with the gray card, white balance, done. So there you go. Anyway, let me know what you think of the Micro Four Thirds system. I just haven't seen enough from the full frame cameras to want to reinvest into it completely yet. It's coming though. The day will probably come where I do get a S1H or something like that, but as of right now, for the kind of videos that I produce, this rig is going to be awesome. So thanks again. Catch you soon. See ya.